Think about the public services you see every day, from the security lines at airports and maintenance of interstate highways to federal student grants and medical research. None of these functions can operate without funding. While the policymaking process, which we learned about in Everything Policy Steps of the Policymaking Process video, creates the laws of the land, it is the federal budget process that provides the financial lifeblood to carry them out. At its core, the budget is far more than just a spreadsheet of numbers. It is a statement of national priorities. The entire process is grounded in Article 1 of the Constitution, which grants Congress the power of the purse, the ultimate authority to tax and spend public funds. Today, we are breaking down the complex, multi-step cycle of how our government decides to raise and spend trillions of dollars each year. The fiscal marathon begins more than a year before the actual budget takes effect. Step 1 centers on the executive branch. By law, the president must submit a detailed budget request to Congress, usually in early February. To draft this massive proposal, the president relies on the Office of Management and Budget, which compiles funding requests from every federal agency. The president's proposal divides federal spending into two primary categories. Mandatory spending, funding that is legally mandated by existing laws. This includes entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare, which automatically fund anyone who qualifies. Congress does not vote on this annually. And discretionary spending, funding that must be approved by Congress every single year. This covers everything from national defense and foreign aid to education and environmental protection. While the president's budget sets the political tone and outlines executive priorities, it is ultimately just a recommendation. Congress holds the final authority. Once Congress receives the president's proposal, Step 2 begins. Lawmakers analyze the request with help from the Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan agency that provides independent analysis of budgetary and economic data. The House and Senate Budget Committees then draft what is known as a concurrent budget resolution. This is a high-level blueprint that sets overall spending ceilings for the upcoming fiscal year, which runs from October 1st through September 30th. Because a budget resolution is an internal congressional guide rather than a formal law, it does not go to the president for a signature. Instead, it establishes the boundaries within which Congress must operate. With the spending ceilings established, the process must move to Step 3, the allocation of funds. This is where the House and Senate appropriation committees take center stage. Both committees are divided into 12 specialized subcommittees, each responsible for drafting a specific appropriations bill that funds a particular sector of the government, such as defense, homeland security, or transportation. This stage involves intense debate and negotiation as lawmakers determine exactly how discretionary funds will be distributed among competing public programs. Step 4 is the final legislative push. To become law, all 12 separate appropriations bills must be passed in identical form by both the House and the Senate, and then signed by the president before the new fiscal year begins on October 1st. However, aligning the priorities of both chambers and the White House is notoriously difficult. As highlighted in our balanced budget policy brief on everythingpolicy.org, the government regularly faces structural deficits because mandatory spending and interest on the national debt consume the vast majority of federal revenue. This structural reality leaves a shrinking pool of discretionary funds, intensifying the political debate over whether to cut spending, increase revenues, or allow the national debt to grow. What happens when Congress fails to pass these spending bills by the October 1st deadline? To prevent a total government freeze, lawmakers often pass a continuing resolution, or CR, a temporary measure that extends funding at current levels for a few weeks or months to buy more time for negotiation. If Congress cannot agree on a CR or the final appropriations bills, the government experiences a funding gap. As detailed in our government shutdown policy brief on everythingpolicy.org, a funding gap forces federal agencies to immediately halt all non-essential operations. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees are furloughed without pay, national parks close, and administrative services stall, causing significant economic disruption. The federal budget process demonstrates how the constitutional principle of checks and balances works in practice. It requires cooperation between the executive and legislative branches to keep the nation running. When the process succeeds, it funds the infrastructure of American society. When it stalls, it directly impacts the daily lives of citizens. Understanding how the federal government manages its purse strings helps us see how national priorities are transformed into real-world action. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like this video and subscribe to Everything Policy for more facts-first policy information. Thanks for watching.